Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co-host, Barbara. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I am. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Barbara.
And I have
Hi.
my other co-host, Kelly.
Hi,
Are you there, Kelly?
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
Hi,
our
Kelly.
guest today is
Hi.
Chez Adams. And I talked to you about what we're going to talk about today. And it says here that you have spiritual awakening. Is that accurate?
Yes, this is true. This is what we're going to speak of, and I appreciate this honor and time. Thank you.
Because I have to say, go on. That's what you're saying.
I'm sorry. Please.
No, I was just going to give you a chance to kind of start describing what happened in your own words.
Okay. Well, actually, I was not aware of spiritual awakenings, even though I had been really psychic and intuitive all my life. And this was something that happened to me, and until then, I was totally ignorant. So I was in a situation that was really rather traumatic, and it lasted and it went on. It was almost insane. It was a personal situation with family and taking care of an elderly and things that happened. And it was really starting to get broken down through the process. And it took me everything around me. I now understand it was divine's way and my higher consciousness's way of, I didn't just, I had a spiritual awakening. I got slapped in the face, shook awake, like, get up right now kind of thing. And it was pretty intense. And I was around an environment that would allow that, such as being to the closest person, and she was going through trauma, and everything was breaking down around me. So, of course, internally, I started stripping down. And as I did that, I was not aware until I looked back over much studying and the process of what happened. And so what happens with a spiritual awakening, oftentimes, it is when there's been a death experience, a near-death experience, or severe trauma. But that can also differentiate from one individual to another. So for me to have trauma, it took a lot because all my life I've had a lot of gifts of trauma, which I'm so grateful for now. So I kept getting stronger and stronger because I have a positive attitude. So when mine hit, I had to be stripped down to nothing because I was so strong. I had dealt with so much, and I found gold in everything. So it was like I was in this situation. Everything was pressing in on me, craziness. It will be in my book. And it was like I was a house of cards, and every one of those cards represented one thing that I overcame, such as the death of a child or many other things that I was gifted to experience in my life. And every time I got strong, it was like, 51 cards and you're strong. Well, guess what? That 52nd card that you thought was in place, it's not. And it was like divine pulled it up from my deck and I came crashing down. And when I say crashing down, it was like falling off a cliff that was higher than any mountain you could possibly ever be on. It was like falling within yourself, and there's no place to grab onto. And everything and everyone that you thought you knew, including mostly yourself, starts unraveling, and it just crashes down. So then you have the opportunity where you're in shock to figure out how to get back up. And that's where the journey of the spiritual awakening begins.
Wow.
So
you're saying if you're very spiritually strong, we are not able to recognize when something bad is happening to us, the spiritual awakening, because we're so strong, we're not feeling it like the most people out there would feel. So are you saying things have to really be bad for us to recognize it, or have you learned that now, hey, don't let it get that bad. Realize, hey, I'm having a spiritual awakening right now without it being so horrible.
That's what I wanted to tell you. I am an unusual one. I am unusual. Mine was probably to the other end almost. A lot of people can have spiritual awakenings after a breakup of a relationship or just a major change that's pulled them off their kilter. Not everybody goes through severe trauma and drama that I was blessed enough to go through. So for that, I don't think that's probably going to be such a harsh reality for them. I think I was probably just the exception. For many people, the spiritual awakening is beautiful. And it can be actually founded by doing yoga. You could do it in meditation. There are people that actually know how to decalcify their third eye with foods, purple foods, staying away from any kinds of fluorides and various other things. So this can be achieved many ways. The most severe intensity, I think, that happens is usually when some severeness happens. I can tell you, I have a dear friend, who actually died, and when he woke up, he said he was not the person that lived in that body anymore. He's had to go through a lot of counseling to learn how to adjust, and he's like, I have to go back, and whoever lived in that body, I have to go clean up all their messes. It's a very interesting story. I'm trying to get him to do, put it to a book or something. But those, I think, are not the average. I think it can be something that seems very big to somebody else, like a breakup or a change, or doing it through meditation and yoga and being mindful. Mindfulness can help it. There are certain things that you can do to prepare for it. So
can you describe a spiritual awakening?
Sure, I can. There's actually different schools. There's like different 11 stages of what can happen, but I'll give you a version of the first stages. So what you notice in the first stage of awakening is not only do you see and understand through your experiences the actual reality of your environmental surroundings, but you also feel a calmness and a peacefulness. You realize that you're fully present in this moment. You're not in the future, and you're not in the present. You're here, so you're very aware. Your awareness level becomes very accentuated and heightened, as well as your intuitive abilities, your psychic abilities can really wake up. You feel so in love with life. It's really a very beautiful thing. It is very lovely. And you realize on the second stage that you're connected to nature. Everywhere you look, you know you're part of all of that. You look at all living things and your whole life. Your soul is emerging with the soul of nature and Mother Earth. And I was thinking about that before we started talking this evening. And I actually think it's a form when we get in touch with the Earth to becoming home to oneself, because Mother Earth represents Earth. So it's a rebirth to oneself and all us around, all that's around us and those with us. But the fun becomes is when you get to the third stage. The third stage is really rather interesting because not only do you realize that you are connected to all things, but you take it a step further and you realize you are all things. So how I would explain this is like divine is a diamond, and we're all individual sparks of the diamond. While we are separate because we all have our individual expressions and personages and bodies, we're still all interconnected. We are one. And it's almost like for me to understand quantum physics, we all break down into energy. We are all energy manifested in a physical form. That's what the body is. That life we live in 3D that we have with all our things around us, all our materials, are actually scientifically proven matter that has just been manifested into a solid form. Well, when you have spiritual awakening, you become very acute of the fact that you know you're a spirit having a human experience. And you do understand we all are one part of the source. It's a very beautiful, loving experience. But it does go through stages because, yes, to maneuver through life around those not understanding it can be really challenging.
Okay, I have felt this, and it's wonderful. So I have another question about it. So the spiritual awakening is something that awakens you, and then you live by that new knowledge, or is it more of a physical feeling that you enjoy for a little while, or is it both, and how do we keep it going, that wonderful, beautiful feeling all the time?
Okay, so this is where the fun part becomes. So we'll take the stages a little deeper. So, like, you might get confused at first because you are seeing something new in your eyes, and even though this is loving, you're going to see things you don't like. You're going to see where there's poverty. It's going to break your heart even more. Greed, where you see injustice. When you realize people are judgmental and unkind and they're not in a loving, more accepting place, it is painful, very painful. So you go through that, and those that are not going through that around you are not going to understand what is so ego-based, because we have been brainwashed with ego-based beliefs of who we are, who we're told we are. And part of the awakening process is coming to know who you really are outside of the constructs of what we've been brainwashed in school or what we're told from those around us, our society, and various other things of who we are. So it's like you're awakening to this process, but through this, you're also trying to interact with the world around you. For people that don't understand this, I remember when I was going through mine, and the individual, I tried to explain to them what was happening, and I told them there is no inferior or superior about this. There is no right or wrong. You don't stand in line for this. And you do go through a process as you're going through the confusion. Some people go through the darkness of the soul, because what happens then, you start to question yourself. And the things that you no longer serve you, old belief systems, old lies that you were told, old lies you told yourself, many other things, they start to fall away. So you go through a transformation process. And if you do the work, and you show up to yourself and you work through whatever the forgiveness you need to do of yourself, for others, the healing, it's a healing call. Awakening is a healing call to the higher self, the heart, the mind, the body, and the soul, and the spirit.
I have another question. If you can feel things more intensely, then also couldn't it work both ways, to where certain things that would hurt you, they don't hurt you at all? They're not, because maybe your awakening is telling you those things, they're not mattering as much, because you're having this awakening of what does matter.
Sounds like you know exactly what a spiritual awakening is all about.
Yes,
you're very right.
Okay.
You do. Yes,
you. I had one, you guys. I must have had one.
Yes, you get to a point, and you know where I think maybe you were at. Did you do a lot of work? Did you have to let go of some things, and you required a lot of alone time and quiet and peaceful music? This is very good to do when you're going through this. And meditation, things to love yourself. And as you strip down, you didn't have to strip?
Well, personally, a little bit, but mine was the traumatic experience that happened to me. And then 10 days after, when Johnny and Kelly got to me with the chakra cleanse, I guess that would be part of stripping down. But I don't know without them if I would have done that. But I felt what you were describing, where you see everything so beautifully and all of that, what you described. But then something else happened in my life, like about a month or two after, which would have been devastating to me and very hurtful, and it wasn't at all. I was like, I'm surprised. I must be different. I am evolving. And that was, now having you on explaining this, now I know that was definitely a spiritual awakening, which is awesome. And
beautiful.
So, yes, beautiful. And then, so that's why I asked you, well, how do you keep this feeling going? You know, because then life does start happening, and you're kind of like conditioned to live a certain way, right? So then you're like, well, I want that euphoric with this wonderful feeling back, and I do have it, but not like that day or week that happened, not as intense, and I want to feel that.
Right. And that is a process, because it does hit a high and it comes back. And this is where meditation, depends on where you are. I stay high vibe. You can do guided imageries with the angels. I've done all of this, your spirit guides, you can meet your spirit animals. You can do all kinds of amazing things with guided imagery. You can listen to high frequency vibration music. I listen to angel meditation music or others, because we vibrate at a frequency, and of course the higher our frequency, the more likely we're going to have some really more positive experiences. And so with you, did you notice a lot of self-love? Did you start practicing self-love with your journey that you went through?
Yes, I felt that as well. And it's funny that you said this about the music, because I started playing that music instead of my normal thing to fall asleep by. I started playing some of that music you were talking about, and it was so relaxing. Immediately I felt a change to where I was able just to calm down and just fall asleep so naturally and calmly and nice. I highly recommend this music.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. And that all vibrates with your chakras too, and so you probably well know that. Also, a very important thing, I don't know if you found, but going in the nature, oh my gosh, nature's like sanctuary. It's a great thing for spiritual awakening. Yes,
that's interesting. I would say just looking at trees and the beauty of the outside on walks, I would see everything a lot more. That made me feel so good, just looking at the simple bark on the tree or the leaf. That was that I did recognize that a lot, but I wasn't around animals as much. Like Kelly's around animals so much, she gets a lot of great energy from her animals and probably strength, right, Kelly?
Oh yeah, and I have had I've had the opportunity of having a lot of traumatic experiences in my life. So it was like accelerated ascension since I was a kid. So, I would kind of plateau and then boom, another thing would happen that would throw me, out of whack, and then, so that was kind of my thing.
Yeah.
So,
are we supposed to tell ourselves that these traumatic experiences are blessings?
You know what? I think everybody is an individual. I can only speak on my behalf. I cannot journey for another person. I can only tell you how I maneuvered through this. So I would never judge anybody else's. I can tell you what worked for me. I get, what we were just talking, you get to a place where just things don't bother you. I got to a place where I realized in my life, I was like you, Tilly, I just kept getting knocked down. I try to get up and knock down. One trauma, it's called the hero's journey. I learned about it in Switzerland when I went to school of Tamado healing. And it's like you put everything, I remember talking to God in my mother's womb. I did not want to come here because I chose a huge job. And it was like at the last minute, it's like, no. And he's like, you better go now, because if you don't, you're going to kill your mother. And sure enough, I came out foot first, and my mother almost died if I would not have come. And I remember the roses. It's all confirmed. But I think my point is that from that moment, I started out like that, and I came in, and my life, my beautiful, wonderful life continued, and it was one thing after another. And because I think I got to a point I was able to look at each beautiful thing and realize part of it was I'm telling myself I was not a victim, first of all. When you get this spiritual awakening, you realize I was not a victim of anything. I believe I chose all that as learning lessons, to be quite frank with you. I believe I chose my choices, even though I have free will.
I have a question. We have a caller.
Sure.
Are you okay with taking a caller?
Sure, most definitely.
Okay. All right. Area code 229, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, but I'm having some issues with my health. But I just wanted to ask, my son is staying with me, and I just want to know, when do you see him moving out?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I cannot hear you very well. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. My son, he's staying with me.
Yes.
And when do you see y'all see him moving out in his own place?
Do I see him moving out?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about whether he was going to move out.
Johnny, is she a psychic who's answering these kinds of questions, or?
Well, I don't know.
I actually could probably answer this. whether he moves her out or not, it's going to have to do more with you, because he will stay there and stay there. And does he need you right now? He might be in need of you. I get a sense of this. And so, but you're the one who's going to decide whether you're going to show up to meet his need or if you want him to move. This is your boundary to be drawn.
Right, yes. And I have drawn the boundaries, and but it seems like, he went to purchase a house, but it's not, it didn't go through for him. That's what he told me. So I gave him a deadline. And he has
because he's trying.
to next week.
Yeah, he's trying. He's going through some inner turmoil right now along with all of this. He's really trying, and he actually wants you to be quite proud of him, to be quite frank with you. He's trying really hard. You are going to have to come to grips with this. This is part of having a healthy relationship with him. I suggest for you to tell him what your expectations are, but I can tell you he is trying, and he really wants to make this come together. He's trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to speak up on his behalf, but I can tell you he needs you. He will pull out of this as you continue to encourage him. But right now I feel like he kind of needs to be close to you. And he is trying. So he's not just blowing air. He doesn't move like you do. He doesn't move fast and hard and quick like you. He has a different way. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Because he's going through a divorce. Well, he just got it after 10 years.
Yeah, he's going through a lot of turmoil inside. Most definitely. He is. And he's just trying to pull things together. He's like running 3 lanes at once. He's trying to live in the moment. He's trying to get in the future, and he's trying to heal some of the past with you.
Right. And so, because I'm trying to do some things for myself, with my healing, I'm trying to, I injured myself for my job, and I injured my back and my lower back and my knee, and I'm having some health issues, and I'm trying to get my life back on track, and it's kind of
right. Everything's going on. Right, I understand.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with me.
The best thing I suggest you do, I can see that it would be really good for you guys to actually just sit down and be quiet with each other for a few minutes. And you guys need to tell each other you love one another. You've lost a little fight of this right now. So it would be really good for you guys to open your hearts to one another right now and be vulnerable to one another, because you really do need one another, and just figure out how you can get through this together, to everybody's needs being met and both respected and encouraged, not enabled.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Blessings to you.
Yeah.
Everything
Thank
will be
you
fine.
very much.
Move on.
God bless.
Thank you. Okay.
Now, you were, before the call, you were talking about your spiritual awakening, and I believe it was Barbara was saying how you identify with that. Is that true?
Oh, very much. I've had amazing experiences that have caused me to go down many rabbit holes to pull myself back out. I woke up so far on the other side it wasn't funny. I had so many visions and mystical experiences. My pineal gland was on fire. I didn't have a regular awakening. There are people, though, that do awaken like this, and a lot of them, because they don't know what's happening, will end up in a mental institution with shock treatment. I was lucky. I reached out to a Reiki master, and I had just actually been attuned as one 18 years ago, and then reattuned. And he was the one who told me I have an ego. I was trying to tell God what to do, and I was vain. So I went home, and I had to look at this and go, let me be really honest. That's part of the spiritual awakening. Be honest with yourself. Look at yourself. Love yourself and say, ooh, okay, I got this, and I got this, and I love myself, but let's see how we can peel that junk away. And with me, I had to relearn things. I did work with my ancestors. I did work with soul retrieval. I did work on many avenues with meditations, guided meditations. I had to do everything I could to find my way back, because I was so far in the spirit realm that I had to get grounded back in my body. And it's been a journey. I had a lot of trauma in the middle of all this beautiful stuff that was happening to me. So I kept getting pressed and pressed and pressed. And I remember, just for me, getting to a point where I just cried. I didn't know how much more I could take, because the situation I was going through my spiritual awakening that was so beautiful, I kept getting more pressure of responsibilities coming in everywhere, and people not understanding about what I was going through. and they got fearful, and there were judgments made, and I forgive them. But it was very hard.
Is that normal, though? That because I had that too, where I was.
Yes.
Well, I was going through such the wonderful emotion of that awakening, but yet there was something else that was just trying to get in the way, that was negative, that was, it was a person, and I was trying to get them out as well, out of my house, out of my life. And so it was like the duo, the very good and the very bad. Is that more normal when you go through a spiritual awakening, or was that just a coincidence that you were dealing with that too during yours?
I think everybody's different, but I think what happens as when you go through that spiritual awakening and the higher consciousness gets embraced and taken in, and you're aware of more things, it also calls you to shows you better show up to your stuff. What are you going to do about this junk? What are you going to do with all these layers of onions that want to come off that are really not your friend, and junk that you really don't need to carry anymore? This is why it's like a second awakening, because you get a second chance in life, but it's called strip down. I call it ascension and strip. So like the full moon, the new moon you ascend, and then the full moon you are stripped down. And the only way you can get the junk off is to face it, look at it, ride through it, and let it go. Flow from it and move on. Then you ascend higher. And each time we do that with a spiritual awakening, the more you'll come up. So don't ever be afraid of shadows coming up. That's part of the spiritual awakening process. Yeah, it's all nice and bliss at first, but part of the gift that you've given from the higher consciousness is to look at those old behaviors, those old belief systems, the lies that you've been told, the lies you've told yourself, and undo those things. Then you become a new creature within yourself. You become a new person. I'm not the same. You said you're not the same anymore, right?
Oh, yeah, I am not the same anymore. And I'm just glad that that's not going to go away.
No,
right?
in meditation thing, no, it can change. But no, you'll get to a point where you are really aware. I've done a lot of different work. I had to work with some situations where there was gaslighting. So I learned to take self-love, strong boundaries, because oftentimes you feel an increased sense of empathy and intuition, which can also put you more vulnerable if you're not quite grounded in knowing who you are yet. And that will push you to challenge yourself. But through that is when you'll really get to know who you are. So, yes, you're going to have empathy and intuition. When you were talking about the trees, colors can get more vibrant. Sounds, for me, became so much more sensitive. But I'm a highly intuitive empath, and I'm a highly sensitive person. So for me, my situation might have been different. Everybody's so beautiful. Everybody's so unique. Everybody chose a different experience. But the main thing is that we are being called to awaken to our higher selves, to become the most authentic, beautiful versions of who we are, so we can bring that forth into the world. We have light working to do in this world. The world needs the people that are aware, with big hearts and loving souls, and that know what it's also like to have a compassion of going through junk, but do not wallow in the junk. Feel the emotion, don't live in it. Get past it, move, strip, ascend. Then we get stronger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since you have a gift and you knew this early on, was it your choice that you chose to go in the complete positive direction? Because I know that some people have a gift and they go the opposite way. And what makes them choose that if they have such this wonderful gift? Because they do sometimes choose the dark side.
Yes. That is maybe depends on a lot of different things. What kind of environment are they awakening in? That has a lot to do with it. How strong were they in maybe self-love or various other things with themselves? It's very hard to go through a spiritual awakening with chaos around you. Very hard. And it takes extra help, and this is why people need to reach out to other people that have gone through it or are going through it. Mostly have gone through it. This is why you go out for Reiki masters. You reach out in your community and find out who can help with spiritual awakenings. And so then you get help.
And that's what
then you don't go to the dark as easily. Yes, if I was going to the dark, I'd reach out.
But I mean, you now are, you could basically look you up where you are, and you have a way to help people find out, did I have a spiritual awakening? Now that I have it, what can I do? Do you have enough material on this I mean, you probably do, of course, but a lot of material that you can have these regular classes on this subject?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I definitely do. I most definitely do. I have so much in my archives. I've been pushing it away for the last 2 years. So one of my main things is to help those people, because remember, spiritual awakenings do not mean that all is life, love, and light. For the people that you talked about, it is actually a beautiful, and I don't want to use this word, so if you're an empath and you feel words, destructive process, it doesn't mean a bad thing. Tower moment when you're reading tarot is not a bad thing. It means you get to strip and rebuild. It's actually a gift. It means the old's going away and the new's coming. That's what happens with a spiritual awakening. So
but what if it's physical and it's painful, these traumatic experiences you're going through? I mean, doesn't that block you up a little bit? I mean, the pain, it hurts. So how do we deal with that?
And this is what I was going to say. So thank you for helping me stay focused. Salt bath. Oh, yes. Salt bath. And some people like to put lavender in to relax you. Candlelight. I like candles. I have holy oil candles because I just love the way they burn. You can use soft clothing, soft things to sleep on. Anything to pamper yourself. Eat. Most essential, eat as much organic, healthy fruits and vegetables. Stay away from junk food. Stay away from things with additives. Not good for you. The higher vibe food you eat, the more your vibrations of your body work. Exercise, yoga, meditation, all of these things. But a salt bath every night is a must for me. It cleanses out your energy in your force. An empath often cleans everybody's energy up, so it's a really good thing if you're empathic as well.
This lavender smells so good. My mom had this lavender. I don't really take a lot of baths, because y'all know out there that I don't like washing off my spray tan, which sounds silly, but it's true. And so I don't always take these baths. But she had this lavender shower gel that was, whoa, did that ever smell good? So that has something to do with the senses, big time. The lavender,
Of course. Oh, all of many of the different essences all affect you. Peppermint's really good for clearing, for energy. There's, herbs. I've gotten off of medicines because of herbs.
Okay.
They're very powerful, yes. So
this is why at spas you have all of this around you. So this is a well-known thing. But what about really, really painful, like a broken leg or something of that nature that's really painful? But you're like, okay, well, I wouldn't have had a spiritual awakening if I didn't break my leg in that accident, which led to this and that and the other. So about that pain, though, does that kind of pain, does that stop you up at all? And how could they get over that without taking those drugs, those pills that are, going to alter our mind state?
Well, you always have Reiki, and you always have sound healing, and you always have color therapy and movement therapy. So you have other options that are holistic that can help you. Energy body work is very essential going through the healing process. If you can have energy work, I've also worked with a shaman in Florence here in Alabama that's just amazing. And I had a session with her that was like 15 or 20 cognitive therapy sessions. There are many different options that you can get mental and physical well-being from. Also, I really love CBD oil roll-ons for pain. I really do.
Oh, yeah?
I think they're wonderful.
Okay.
Yes, I do. And finally, in the South, that's do it. But there's foods and herbs you can take for like ginger. You can use turmeric. You can use other inflammation, marshmallow root. Those are all for inflammation of the intestines, of the joints, and various other things. So you have a lot of options to go with. But Reiki is very powerful if you know a Reiki healer. Sound therapy, very powerful. Anything that can alter the state of mind, you can approach like meditations and various other things. You can actually use your own energies to heal yourself as well.
Wow,
if you understand.
how wonderful.
Yes.
How wonderful. We're all about doing it naturally if we can, and with our own energy, and learning these things is wonderful. Because I'm always having this neck injury from a traumatic accident when I was 15. It creeps up on me constantly, so I've been thinking about getting the CBD oil. I talked to Terry of Offbeat Unique. He's going to send me some, so let's hope that works, because I'm tired of taking ibuprofen.
Okay. Also, can I say something to you? You know, there's a difference. You know what a Kundalini awakening is, yes?
No.
Okay, a Kundalini awakening.
Kelly probably does, but I'm
Yeah.
learning as I go here.
Right.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that I didn't know about a Kundalini awakening, because they're different. I've had one spiritual awakening after another. They don't ever stop. The awakening process never ends. Hopefully not. We're never done. But with neck pain, I didn't know this. I had a Kundalini awakening on top of it. And a Kundalini awakening is the raising of the spinal energy going up from the first chakra all the way up to the crown chakra and through. And what happens, all my neck issues disappeared. I was having blocks and everything. I could barely move my neck. And since that happened, I have no more pain in my neck. So this is something I'd like to share with you in the event this ever happens. That will be one sign your neck pain will go away.
Okay. Wow, I'm excited about this.
Yes, me too. I'm excited for you. So go do your Kundalini yoga and get that Kundalini energy going. Get that energy. Do that Kundalini yoga.
Okay, because I love yoga, so I'll put that into the YouTube and then try that tonight.
Yes, and do it gently, though. You don't want to rush Kundalini yoga. You want to do it gently. It's a gentle process. You don't want to slam yourself awake. So it's a gradual thing. It will be a beautiful experience because of your awakening so far that you're in. That should be lovely.
Yeah, and you know what? The last traumatic experience, actually, when I was healing from that one thing in my neck, that one pain, that was what went away. Every other part of my body was injured, but the neck, I'm not kidding. It was crazy.
Oh.
Remember, Kelly and Johnny, I think I said, but you know what? The craziest thing is my neck pain's gone.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, too? They say when you go through a spiritual awakening, you get a new personality. You have a new person. I'm not the same. My mother will even tell you that. The new personality, you know what they say? Because I was very sick before and I'm getting healthy. The new personality no longer needs the old diseases. You don't need the old diseases.
I have a question. I have a question about new personalities. This sort of goes in line. This is for my co-host, Kelly. You said, Kelly, since you've been doing the show, your father has said, "Where's my daughter? What happened to my daughter?"
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Is that true?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Literally,
you asked
what happened personality to according to your dad.
Yeah, he's like, he has wondered. I mean, and especially after the breakup, I mean, he was like, oh my gosh, you know, who are you and what have you done with my daughter? Because normally, with everything that had happened, I would have, folded and, gone back and I would have, been a big mess. And instead I was like, okay, I don't need that anymore in my life and moved on.
Yes, definitely.
How many spiritual, sorry for interrupting everybody, I'm so sorry. But I was just wondering, how many spiritual awakenings do you think you've had, Kelly?
Gosh, in my lifetime, over a dozen. But the last year was huge because, gosh, in the last 2 years, I mean, but I think the really big one was losing my mom in 2012, and then, she was my rock. I mean, I hate to say it, but she almost gave me my identity. So when I lost her, I didn't have that to lean on, and I was very lost and didn't know who I was for a while. And then it was before that, it was when I had to basically start over because I know that Shay doesn't know about it, but the listeners do. When the domestic violence happened and I left my ex-husband, he gave me a closed head injury so bad that I didn't know who I was or my parents. And it took me 15 years to figure, to remember my childhood and things like that. So, that was a huge journey. And so then in the last couple of years, I broke my foot. I had a near-death experience. It wasn't my first. When a car I was a passenger in flipped several times, rolled over, and the semi slipped. and then I was going through a miscarriage, and then a huge breakup. After, before that was the slip and fall where I had the head injury again at work, and then the huge breakup. And it was like I got tired of the abuse and just was like, I'm done. And everybody was quite surprised, and I was like, well, nope, I'm done. And it was like this huge transformation. Like, I got rid of everything that wasn't serving me anymore. Like, I did not want to be that person anymore. And, now I'm dealing with some health issues that, some of which I learned today, and I was just like, well, that was unexpected. I'm going to keep plugging along and looking for answers and seeing what I can do. But, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the lesson here that I need to learn? Because usually, it's like, okay, I've got, something new. That means I'm supposed to learn something from it. So,
well, yeah, are you glad that we have Shay on today? So when she said it was one thing after another, that is like what's going on with you, Kelly. So it's really uplifting when you meet somebody who is going through that or has gone through that same kind of thing to, offer some support. Because Kelly, Lord knows she gives us so much and is healing so many other people with her chakra healings and readings. So I'm so glad that you're on today to help Kelly.
Well, thank you. I'm honored that I can do such a thing. But yes, Kelly, I totally relate to you. Sounds like we had some similar things happen in our past. And the only thing I can tell you is when I look back to all this just means that my spirit, not right or wrong, not inferior spirit, has become so big that because I had to work so hard to pull myself back together, just think of how many people we can help, Kelly. But also is to take care of ourselves. This is the biggest lesson that you and I learned because we were caregivers. Yes, we watched over the adults around us probably and had to keep ourselves safe. Yep. So we are so used to taking care. We were adults before we were children, I bet. Yes, does this ring a bell?
Yeah.
So we have learned to take care of everybody else, and I think the biggest thing that we can learn in our spiritual awakening, honey, is that we are worthy, we are valuable, and we deserve nothing but the best because we are loved, loving, and lovable. And so, and it doesn't matter, other people's judgments of us do not matter. As long as we stand in our authentic self, that's all that matters. And I'm not ashamed of one thing that's happened to me in my life, and I don't think you are either, are you, Kelly?
No, not anymore, no.
And I'm grateful. I'm actually grateful because we're all going through life together, and we are supposed to stay by each other's side and help one another. We're not supposed to divide. We're supposed to stand together as a family in the world, period. We're not supposed to kill each other and have wars. We're supposed to be united as one family. So I admire you, Kelly, and kudos. Just think you have big work ahead of you in your lifetime because you're going to continue to have those. But I think, I don't know, did you have one big one, Kelly? Was that the one when your dad didn't recognize you anymore?
Yeah,
and that is because you are not the same person. And how's your psychic and your mystical and your intuitive abilities? Have they really come off the charts?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of an awakening process too. That happens, and that's our gift. That's a gift. Intuition is the wisdom. She's our great gift.
Oh, good.
Amazing.
That's
very
more?
good.
So yes, and the fact that you're doing Reiki will be really good on your body. And I know sometimes we are taking care of everybody else, we forget to Reiki our own bodies, or walk through our symbols, draw those symbols and walk around them and throw them all around you. I sit in the middle of Earth and I do the symptoms. You know what I do? I learned, because I had to study psychology a lot, is whatever our mind can conceive, you know that old saying, we can believe. So what I started doing is I would take my Reiki symbols and I would go imagine sitting in the center of Mother Earth, and I would throw them out and send healing throughout all the earth, throughout all humanity, throughout all existence. And you can use Reiki that way internally as yourself too, from every cell outwards into the world. And it makes it very real and viable. It is alive. If your brain goes there, you're there. That is real to your brain.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
you can always sit within yourself. These are just a creative idea. Sit with yourself, sit in meditation and see yourself go within yourself, spreading all those Reiki symbols inside you as you're using your hands to do it outward. I just realized that. It just came to me. Just give it a try. You have nothing to lose. Because I've done stuff like this. I had a fairy ring grow in my backyard sitting in Mother Earth. I found a staff out in nature that was a full tree before I found it. I mean, crazy stuff. So listen to your intuition. Just listen to yourself and use your imagination. You have a good imagination, Kelly. You're a very child. You have a good little child, and that child wants to come out and play more. I'm supposed to tell you that. Go blow bubbles. Go play. Go blow bubbles. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Wow.
You need to go play. It's time for you to have fun. You work too hard. You need to go play. Okay? Okay.
Wow.
I like that.
Okay.
Have
That
a love
sounds
affair with
great.
yourself. Yeah.
Wow.
Take yourself out on dates. Take yourself out to ice cream. Take yourself out. Do just special stuff for yourself and just come out and play with it. Just let that child dance and play. You have a beautiful child in there.
Yes, because the news that she got today, it could get anybody down. But is there anything you can really do about that news right this second? Probably not. You're doing everything you can. You've got your appointments. You're doing your research. So yes, go out and play. And I can't wait to see if this, what it does for Kelly. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds
It'll
so
lighten
good.
everything up. Yes, honey, it lightens things up. I have to remember the same thing. I get so busy, and I have to remember to stop. And I'll grab my wand of bubbles, and I'll go blow bubbles outside in the moon or whatever. Just stop and smell a flower. Take a moment to remember the little precious things in life that we take for granted sometimes. And that's part of keeping the spiritual awakening going, too, is to stay mindful and appreciative. I put my hand on my heart every day, and I say grateful, grateful, grateful. I have it written all over my house. There's so much for us all to be grateful for. That is the key to the universe, is gratitude.
Is there a certain amount of times you're supposed to be saying grateful? Because I thought when I watched The Secret it said say it 7 times a day, or does it not matter?
I just am myself. I just do what I'm going to do. I just live in my authenticity, and I do what I'm going to do, and I do it. But everybody can figure out what works for them. There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just always say it. I've been doing that, saying the word grateful, and I am grateful, and being grateful. It does work wonders.
Yes. And to be grateful
cool.
for
Thank you.
people in our lives and the smallest of things. Even sounds silly, but even our fingernails. We have so much to be grateful for. And the things on the spirit realm that we can't see. I'm grateful for all those spirit beings, the light beings, the angels, the ascended masters. I'm grateful to God. I'm just grateful. I'm supported by the universe. We all are loved more than we ever know.
Oh, yeah. Well, if the universe gave you a spiritual awakening, the universe must like you.
Yes. And you. Loves you. Yes,
that's what I said today when I was talking to Karen on the phone. I'm like, hey, you know what? I felt really flattered, and it sounds silly, but hey, I was really given something by this realization, which is probably part of the spiritual awakening. Of course, you're going to get a realization of seeing things in a different way, that the universe gave this to me in such a weird way. When we get hurt, we're wondering why. And then when you realize why, and then you think you have it, and then a couple of months later, you're like, no, that is why. And you have these realizations. It's just like the most wonderful feeling. And then you're like, hey, I must be doing something right, because I wouldn't have been given this by the universe if I wasn't.
Right. And then also, what we're going to see? There's a big shift. The planets are shifting. The Aquarians coming in. Old constructs of religion and governments are starting to crumble down. Well, with that, of course, is the erasing of the higher consciousness. And this next year, you're going to see a ton of people awakening into 2020. There's a big movement going on in the universe. So this is a beautiful thing, because as we've gotten to do it, I know those that came in before me grabbed my hand and helped me. Now I get the privilege, the honor to help those behind me, and we're all going to be in a position to help those that come behind us.
Oh, how beautiful is that? Wow.
Really?
It is lovely. But I will say one thing. I would like to talk a little bit about people that go through spiritual awakenings and the people that are around them that do not understand it. Do not be disheartened if you get judgment. Do not be disheartened if you're doing Reiki and somebody says you're evil. They just don't understand. Do not be disheartened when people can't understand you, because what I had to realize, I was asking for my right to be authentic. Not really asking, it's pretty much, it's what it is. I'm going to be authentic. Well, in that, we have to grant the people around us that, and we can try to help them understand, but if it doesn't come to this, understanding, do know, first of all, how could they understand? It's not their fault. It didn't happen to them. So we need to understand and have compassion for them as well. But don't be bullied, and don't be told that you're wrong or you're less than or that you're strange, because you are not. You are authentically your magnificent, marvelous self.
Oh,
You have the right for your authenticity. You stand in your authenticity always. But do understand, not everybody's going to understand this. And it's okay. I tried to prove to one person for so long, and then I finally had to get to a point where I had to let it go for my own health, my own emotions, my own wellness, and to let it go in love and respect and compassion for that person. So don't be bullied, but don't move on who you are. Do not compromise yourself. You will not be happy. It's self-betrayal to not be your authentic self. Stand in your power of who you are with mercy and grace.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I've done that before. I'm not proud of it, and yeah, that did not serve anybody any good.
No. So the things about the spiritual awakening is it's really important, I think, to be totally honest with yourself. You are going to die from your ego. Forgive yourself and others. When we're talking about meditation and prayers, the essence of, the importance of that will keep things going. And I don't know about you ladies, but when I went through my spiritual awakening, things didn't matter so much. Did you guys deal with that? Did you experience that?
What didn't matter too much?
Things, material things were nice, but they didn't matter. They didn't mean as much as maybe they were at one time.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me, yes.
Yep.
I was able to clean out the closet without second guessing it and just, hey, it's not serving me, get rid of it. And I used to just hold on to it. Maybe I will use it. Maybe I could sell it. And then you're just like a pack rat. So I really saw a difference in myself with that.
Beautiful. Yeah, do you notice when you have a lot of chaos, there's like your energy gets depleted?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
So both my ladies here are empaths, yes?
Yeah.
Oh, well, gosh, I thought that happened to everybody.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Some people are
Oh.
not aware of it. You know what? I notice as an empath, because I pick up everything around me, I'm learning how not to do that. It's called being a healthy empath, and I'm working on it. I'll be teaching classes on that. Empath is a gift, but it also comes with a challenge. The challenge is to be a healthy empath. A healthy empath is it's a big aspect to themselves in the world. So.
Can you explain to our listeners exactly, because some people are new at this, what that means? Empath.
Oh, an empath is an individual who can read. It depends on the intensity and the kind of empath, but let's say a regular empath, if there is such a thing, will come across somebody and you will actually feel what they're feeling. You will know, and you have gifts of clairs. You have the gift of audience. You will hear things and you'll just know them in your mind's eye. You'll see things in your mind's eye and mind's ear. You'll just know things. You'll be able to sense people. You'll be able to read them. You watch their features. You watch their body movements. You read them like a book, and you can tell who's not nice and who's lying and who's playing nice and who's beautiful. Your intuition does never lie about these things. But an empath literally picks up other people's feelings, and this is where you got to be careful with an empath, because you want to understand why your moods have changed as you are around somebody, because it didn't belong to you. This is why we need to learn what's ours and what's not. And
oh, my goodness. I felt sick to my stomach by looking at this one person's photo today. And I even gagged. I was going to throw up. I hadn't seen
Wow.
this person ever, really. I had never seen a picture like this of them. And everybody knows, well, Johnny and Kelly know who I'm talking about. And I was on Instagram and I looked at this new latest photograph. Oh, my gosh. I was on the phone with Karen. I'm like, Karen, nausea has come over me. I gagged.
Wow.
I felt like I had to run to the bathroom and throw up. I, took some deep breaths so I didn't do that, but it was overwhelming, you guys. And I felt it evil. It was evil.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you're a powerful empath too. You can't watch horror movies. If you see negative pictures and stuff on TV, do you cringe? Like you've got to get up and leave the room. You can't watch it.
Yes, I've had to.
I will say this. I will say
completely.
this is something that I do that's very hard for me. It's hard for me to watch a movie where somebody's murdered, and the reason is because it seems unnecessary. It's kind of like I don't want to be crude, but I mean I can watch two people having sex because that's necessary. That has to happen in their life. But what I'm saying is like what isn't necessary is somebody strangling and breaking the neck of another person, somebody torturing another person. You understand what I'm saying?
Torture.
That's just not.
I can't watch torture either, Johnny.
Neither,
I can't. That's too much for me. Too much.
Do you know what's actually happened? I can't even watch TV anymore. I tried to put my TV on. I didn't have it for months in my new house. I brought it and I tried to put it on. Even on my flight to Europe, I could not watch any TV. It's been a long time since I can watch stuff. It's boring. And a lot of it, I know, is full of junk. But anything scary, and I'm a musical therapist is my degree, so I had to study music, and even musical sounds that are uncomfortable, it will make me want to cringe. So I get this. Totally can relate to you, Miss Powerful Empath, and Mr. Empath.
Wow. I used to be able to watch.
I haven't been able to watch TV since I've been here.
I used to be able to watch things like that, and now it's like, because I would tell myself, well, it's not real, like movies. But then it's like, it had to come from somebody's mind, which it had to come from somewhere. So then you go into this deep rabbit hole, and it's like, no, don't need it.
Right. And it has happened to people. People have had the worst things happen to them. So it is real in a certain sense. And it's just a torture thing I couldn't watch for a long time. And then I was dating this policeman once, and his thing, he had watched every single horror show there ever was. He's like, oh, I've seen that. I'm like, how do you put that into your mind? And then, I just certainly can't. But it gives you an idea of that person's mentality, if they can. It seems like kind of a shallow type of way to go through life. Like just put whatever, like a junk food person would just put whatever they see in their body.
Right.
Same
Well,
with
have to be mindful.
I have to say something.
in.
It's not really a mentality. It's a desensitization because a policeman has to see a lot of stuff. I mean, policemen. I mean, I'm not saying that policemen is sensitive. It's just that, I mean, think about it. I mean, every day they deal with gunshots and everything, and like for example, one time I was taking a vocational class, and they asked me, they said, what kind of job would you never be able to have? And I said, definitely mortician, because I mean, seriously, going to funerals every day. I mean, it just seems like, do you really want to do that? And just too upsetting. I mean, even though I know they make good money, but I mean, I just don't think I can do that,
But you're
and
right.
that's good that you know your boundary. And that's good. And the thing, I like that you mentioned desensitized, because it is a desensitization. Even from not watching TV for months and months, I turned on, there was nothing but commercial. I'm going like, how many people are aware of this is going on? Because you do have to remember, in those commercials, you do know like 10,000 different stimuli are coming at you 1 second. And there's a whole theory about that we'll talk about another time, about messages on TVs and billboards and all kinds of fun stuff.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Oh.
But
so they know what they're doing, Shay, right? So they
Pardon?
know what they're doing. They know
Of
what they're
course they know
doing.
what they're doing.
Pretty,
Oh, please.
so,
of course they
I mean,
do.
okay. So there's like a whole department maybe just for that, like subliminal
Probably a lot
messages in the
bigger.
commercial. Wow.
Yeah. No, I think there's
what?
a much bigger agenda than all of this, and it's not because I am not paranoid at all. It's just my observation, all the study that I've done, and I'm seeing what's going on, and I'm going like, no, there's a big agenda going here. You chemtrails, all that stuff, you're poisoning your food. No, honey, there's big junk going on, and it goes past the government. So, but we won't go there. Another day, another dollar. So,
you want to hear something interesting?
Okay.
A little something?
Yeah.
When I had the closed head injury, and I think this is a really big opening for my gift, is that, the one from the ex-husband, is when I was trying to integrate back into, like, real life, I would go and I would try to watch television, and, like, for speech therapy, I would watch, like, an episode of Friends, and I was supposed to write about it. Well, if a cat walked across the room, it would totally distract me to the point I didn't know what was going on or who said what, and I didn't have anything to write at that point. And then the commercials were something that would just drive me nuts because there's some, you get the flashing of the lights on there, you get the, stimulus that's going from one perspective to the other and is going back, and then you've got all the music and the background stuff. And then go to the shopping mall and you're bombarded with stimulus. And, I had no filter to tell me, okay, only pay attention to this person talking to me, not 5,000 other people in their conversations going past me, and, the noise going over here and these flashing lights and, the music and all this stuff. So it was really quite overwhelming, and I had to learn how to retrain my brain because all the energy centers were working fine. They just couldn't communicate with each other because the neural pathways were severed. Mm-hmm. So I had to create new ones.
Wow. Okay.
So I think that's how I was able to fine-tune the gifts because, everything had to be reworked. And it took years, but everything was highly sensitive after that.
Yes, and that's part of that spiritual awakening as well, and that's what we're talking about, to become desensitized. And then when you realize we can't go back and watch those things anymore. The thing about spiritual awakenings, I used to be afraid I'd fall back to sleep. Not going to happen. Once you're going through the awakening process, you don't go backwards. There's ways to keep it tuned up, but you don't go backwards, because once you become sensitized and aware, you cannot become unaware. But one thing I will tell you that I have noticed, and we're talking about when we go through changes, and sometimes when we go through changes and we're going through this Leo moon gate, the gate too, is that a lot of people are letting go of old beliefs, old relationships. We're figuring out what we want to take for the next 5 months with us, what we want to let go of. And I came across a situation, and it took me a long time, but we have to understand that it's very healthy to let go of old situations that no longer serve us, our own attitudes that don't help us, our old beliefs that are not beneficial for anything. And actually to let go of them is healthy. To not let go of them is not healthy. So I say it's very healthy to let go of the unhealthy so I can become and stay healthy. So that's kind of what it comes down to as far as the culmination of remaining healthy, is to constantly keep weeding your garden. I think that's how I could maybe, in a roundabout, answer to you, because I've been thinking about how I could share that with you.
Yes, that helps. I like that analogy.
Yeah. I love that analogy. Yeah, I mean, you can't just let it go unattended and hope for the best.
No, you have to show up to yourself. You got to love yourself enough to show up and be responsible for yourself. And I have an old saying, not my monkey, not my zoo. Oh, but wait, my monkeys, my zoos, those belong to me, and I have to show up for those. But other people's monkeys and other people's monkeys and zoos, they don't belong to me. That's their job. Mine are mine. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's cute. Yeah. Yeah. Takes a lot of pressure off thinking about it like that.
Mhm. Yeah, because that's part of also having to journey to being a healthy empath is we don't own other people's attitudes, opinions, their thoughts of us, nor do they own ours of them. So, and that's part of my classes.
I'd
Well,
love to.
thank
How long have
you,
you been doing the classes? Oh.
I'm sorry?
How long have you been doing these classes?
Well, actually, I've been teaching them outside of the classroom, and that's why everyone's like, please teach us classes. So I just came back from Europe. I was studying, and so I'm now in the process of I have everything written down. I'm just having them printed out and calling the people in because I also have surgery at the end of the month. So I'm kind of like going back and forth, and I'm writing a book, and I've been working on it. But first, I want to help everybody before I tell my story because it's quite a crazy story. I call it Mercy and Grace. I just got slapped in my face. And it's an adventure because I had some literal crazy, magical, crazy stuff. And that's one thing. For those going through awakenings, write because you're going to get downloads. Your higher self will give you downloads. Write down those ideas that come through. They are precious. They are nuggets of gold. You're going to want to look back to them.
Okay. Write them down. Writing them down. Yes. In our Life, Laughter, Happiness journal.
Yes, and we're gonna keep ascending as you keep working. Like each moon that we're going through, we're gonna keep ascending like we've been. Like, oh my gosh, March was horrid. Those moon and Libras really kicked our butts. But now we're going to be working. Start planning the things that you want right now. Start thinking about all the things. Start visualizing, feeling, seeing, because the vibrations are going to be released. Start creating the things that you want. This is the gateway that we have opening right now, and I want to encourage that as much as I can. It's a little off the track, but not really, because it has to do with the awareness level. And encourage the ones, and just understand, like, my mate kept getting upset. I kept telling him, no, I'm not superior. I'm not inferior. And the moment somebody says they're awakened, I'm sorry, that means they're done. They're done. We're never done. And the next thing is somebody brags about their awakening, they're not awakened because the ego, that's the thing that leads to the spiritual awakening. That's the whole key right there. We try to find each other and say, oh, yeah, I had that happen. But if you ever see somebody, feel bad for them because that's not a spiritual awakening. This is not something you brag about, and it's something we had to journey through and earn. It took a lot of work for me to get where I am. So, and it's a humble gift.
Nice. That's what Kelly came up with this wonderful idea that we're doing soon on the show where we express what our hopes and our dreams are. And and you know what? I already have been thinking about that, Kelly, last night. I gave it some thought. And you know what? That's the first step is to think about it because we're not even thinking, well, you know what? Maybe that's a hope or a dream, but that's so far away. And then we put it away. She is bringing it to the forefront. And I'm excited about this because that's the first step, thinking about it, talking about it, writing it down. Now what? Let's lean on each other. Let's try to make our dreams and hopes, and let's make it happen. We can do it.
Right, because remember your thoughts. My mom told me 40 years ago my thoughts were living. Thoughts carry energy. This is how telekinesis is done. Your thoughts, your energy reads your thoughts, and then you move the thing with your energy. That's what telekinesis is all about, is understanding that your thoughts move. Your thoughts are living. So.
And then the Reiki, I don't know much about this, but Kelly, are you studying it, or do you know it? Are you going to bring this to us soon? I'm really excited about this. Heard about it.
I'm looking into classes because I do energy work. I do the chakra healing and intuitive readings, but I'm looking into taking the Reiki classes because Karen said that it would open up so many more doors, and so that's what I'm looking into. So I've been trying to save money and set it aside for these classes. I'm kind of doing it, but I want to fine-tune it and be able to expand on it.
Can you guys please...
And there's a photo shoot. Photo shoot.
Explain to us, what is this? I really don't know the definition of Reiki, and I want to let the listeners know what it is as well.
Oh, this is very good. Reiki is actually a healing modality that's used with the understanding of the chakras, the body centers, the different aspects of them being tied to our different organs, different parts of our life, different parts of our personage that are made up. And what I was taught is that you're a hollow reed and that it's divine source that does the healing, but you have symbols that welcome God in, that balance, that heal from the past, the future, the present. And it's the greeting, and it's a beautiful thing because one of the symbols is I greet the God within you that's within me. I meet divine within you that's in me. So it's actually a very beautiful thing, but it's using energy for you can work on the emotional body, the ethereal body, and the esoteric body. So it's just a matter of doing this, but it's very in-depth. I have been attuned twice, 18 years ago and then 2 years ago. You have to practice it all the time. Different people practice in different ways, but that's just, you're barely scratching the surface. I went for 3 days to Placerville with the Goddards and studied with them, and it was very intense, but you need to keep it going all the time. And there are so many symbols, and there are so much more you can do with it. You can do it on your body. You can do it on your food. You can do it on pets. You can do it. I do it in the spiritual levels. I do it in the spirit realms. It just depends on you, but there are so many different methods. I have probably 40 books on Reiki and different things you can do. It's amazing.
Oh,
Very
wow.
powerful. It's using your energy. Now, this new therapy that I did learn, it's about 50 years before its time. I witnessed things when I was in Switzerland. And I'm not trying to minimalize Reiki, but it surpassed it. It was so powerful. Oh, my gosh. And I just never witnessed anything like it before. That's all I can say. And I was blessed that I learned a lot about it. You know, do you guys ever feel energy coming at you? Can you stand next to somebody and literally feel their energy almost knock you over? Have you had that experience yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing energy healing, when I was gone, I was in a room with 30 people, and their energies were knocking me over. They had to pull me in a room. I had to study all by myself. I didn't realize I was so sensitive.
That's
Think of
amazing.
my poor ex-husband. It must have been hard to be my mate.
I love it. Well, okay, so is there a way to study all of this and learn out at Breaking the Bank?
Oh, sure there is. You can go, and I went and I paid for my coursework, but my dog thinks she's wanting to not do this, I hope. But and you can get you can go to the app store and get one, but you just need to be really there. And I think it's better when you study with somebody directly. You can find somebody that would give inexpensive classes. You can get your books, but the main thing is that you practice. But you are definitely, to get attuned, you're going to have to work with the master because you have to go through the process, your time, and then you get attuned with Reiki symbols, and that actually seals you in. It's very powerful, very powerful. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
you can do a trade.
Trade. Oh, I did lots of trades. I've done tons of trades. Yes,
that's a great idea.
It's just opening up your mind.
Kelly's a chakra healer to the stars. I mean, there's nobody better than. I've never found anybody better than her with the chakra healing. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and you know, not everyone has to have a degree to do healing. Do understand that. If you, my girlfriend who will be one of your guests, she does natural energy healing, and it just comes natural to her. She didn't have to study. So I think we all have our own way of how we find how to use our gifts. So if somebody is not certified, doesn't make them less able to be a healer.
Right. Okay. Oh, is it certified that you have to pay for the certification probably? Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Well, not only that, but you have to show you have credentials. You show that you've done your time and that you have credentials and that you put in time. It's just like going to college or anything else.
But not if you're on the radio show like us. There's, hey, I certify you, Kelly. Go for it.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So some people, like my dear friend Shelley Percy, that's going to be with you. She's a natural energy healer. So you just work with what you have. If somebody doesn't care about credentials and it shows that you can do it, that's the most important thing, Kelly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If both you and your client are happy, that's the thing. However, you do have to look at probably some legalities. If you open a practice and thing, you can't say you're a Reiki master. So there's little things we just need to check out. That's all.
Oh, come later. We want you now. I need to get this Reiki going on me.
Oh yeah, I love Reiki. It's very powerful, and I do distance healing as well. And I've done intuitive, so I kind of break the rules with some Reiki too. I'll use different stones for different chakras. I'll have them do different things. So it's
so interesting.
Yeah.
How did we find you, Shay? How did we find you to have you on?
Well,
I don't
actually,
even know.
Okay, how you found me is that I have been feeling a real call for all the light workers to come together. And a light worker can be many things. I just feel like my spiritual family. I watch them, and I feel a strong calling for everybody to come together because the world is going to need us. We have stepped out forefront, and you're going to see a big split happening in our society. Those that stay in the ego, and those that awaken and want to bring the family back together. And so I'm trying to do that. I'm not sure how to do it yet, but I know I'm watching around the board of what's happening in the world, and I have friends from every spiritual walk, religious. I look at the science, and I see this big movement, and it's all going the same way. I'm just not sure how it's going to unravel. I know that's
so you found that?
Well, no, Jonathan found me. Jonathan found me, and we started talking. He found me.
He's good at it.
He found me.
He's the master of finding people.
He found me. He saw my video, and I friended him. Everybody started friending each other. It was wonderful. My Facebook has blown up. My girlfriends, I think everybody's trying to pull together. So that's really lovely. But
okay,
yes,
so let's connect with you. Can you spell so all the listeners we can connect and befriend all of us together? So you're on our Life After Happiness Facebook, and we now have all social media. So check that out with Twitter, Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Shay. We'd appreciate that.
Oh, I'd love that. And Jonathan, you may have to help me because technology is not my forte, but it's one I'd like to acquire.
Okay. Sure.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to have you on the Blue Jeans to have you teach classes, too.
Oh, I'd love that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel so honored. I'm so appreciative that you are also conscientious and aware that this world needs a lot more places and stations that are safe like yours. And for this, I am humbly grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and I love what you said. Yes, before we started on the air, you were saying something. You had a special class or something where you're bringing sisterhood back. You know, us sisters need to stop with the negative, like the jealousy. And I actually experienced that so much that it made me cry last couple of days when I went back home. Yeah. So,
sorry,
and it's just so, it's an emptiness that they're carrying that, you know, and I thought I was stronger, that I could handle it. But you know what? Sometimes, like now you're letting me know I'm in tune. So things like this are going to hurt me even more now that I am awakened. Had the spiritual awakening. I'm more sensitive to that because it's the first time I've come across that sense like that in my face since my accident, my spiritual awakening and then transition, which I guess is one in all, right? So I experienced that, you guys, and it just was it really hit me to the core. And
right,
no
and the beautiful thing, honey, is you got to remember, or you can remember. This helped me. You don't have to do anything, but I'm going to share what helps me. When I have learned that those attitudes, those opinions, those uglies, they don't belong to me. Those things that they think of me, they don't belong to me.
Okay.
They don't belong to me. That belongs to them. My feelings and my opinions and my attitudes belong to me, and I'm not going to allow somebody to impose what they think and who they think I am. If they want to know who I am, they should probably ask. Don't impose and don't tell me. So don't own those negative feelings that come to you. They don't belong to you. Those are hers.
Okay.
There's that person. They're not yours.
I mean, even
but
my
however,
12-year-old daughter is so amazing. She said, Mom, now don't don't take it personally, and also don't go down to their level, because I actually started the next day to get angry. Well, you know, that's something I don't want to have to feel or have that emotion, especially visiting my home. And, you know, So that was
here,
sweet that, that
fun?
was intelligent. Oh, yeah. Do I want to have some fun?
Okay.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, because I know I don't have much time left. I don't mean to be rude. Forgive me for my bad manners. Put me in time out. So here's what happens. You want to have fun? You want to strip down? Let's strip down. So when I get my buttons pressed, I have to ask myself, why? What issue's going on here? Hello, self. You have an issue. Let's figure out where this junk comes from so you don't let this get pushed again, because let's just rip that weed out of your garden and get rid of it. Yeah, and sometimes it means speaking your truth to somebody and letting them know your loving boundaries, and you're not going to allow anybody to treat you disrespectfully. Sometimes it's having to look at your own issues that aren't resolved, and it's time for healing and self-love.
Okay.
So this is what I do. I don't know if it works for you, but it helps me get rid of a lot of junk.
No,
so
it's
my
time to
strip
down. Now I'm getting a first-hand little lesson about that and, how to do it. Because a lot of us and the listeners, we don't know what's the first step to stripping down. But you're saying, okay, recognize it. Look at yourself. Look at your life. Why? And then start stripping it down. Hey, I don't own this. I don't need this. I don't own it. It's not mine. Say those things and go from there. And then the next time it comes, you're going to be prepared. It's not even going to affect you that way. You're going to have to go through 2 days of being down and downtrodden and sad and, oh, my gosh, I can't believe this is affecting me like this. You're not going to go through that the next time.
Right.
Thank
and however,
you.
However, a self-love thing to do is understand what is yours. And what that you might not like about you. And, we are all going to have light and shadow. It's just part of loving ourselves. And the shadows that we don't like, it gives us an opportunity to say, well, I'd like to kind of maybe flip that around and alchemize that into something more positive. But whereas human self-love is embracing all parts of ourselves, changing the parts that we don't like, and enhancing the ones that we do. So I have to oftentimes put a mirror up in my face constantly. Is it fun? No, but it sure feels good. When I work through the junk, it's like, yes. And then things don't trigger me like they used to, and it's so peaceful. It's so lovely.
So does it have to go along with what happened, or just basic generally what you don't like about yourself?
Well, no. Things will pop up. If I catch something coming up and what I'll do is I'll hold my heart and I'll think, God, please help me. I don't like this feeling. I'd like to lift out of this. This does not feel good. How do I get out of this? What do I need to change about my thinking I'm thinking about, or no belief, or whatever else? And then I have to just love myself and say, you know what? I don't need that in my space. I don't need that in my life. And if I don't care about this about myself, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to show up for myself. I'm going to love myself.
Should we doubt our higher self is like our intuition, right? So, what if we start doubting ourselves? Like, well, maybe that's all in my head. Maybe they really aren't. No. Okay.
No. Don't ever do that. And that's what empaths love to do. We love to doubt ourselves because we want to love the whole world. We don't like to have to see things about people we don't like.
Right. Yeah. Okay, but don't do that.
Play nice. Right. No. Don't ever guess your intuition. When I haven't listened to my intuition, I get my hiney spanked.
Okay. I'm so Shay, I'm telling you, I was so sure of this, that this really was going on. I can't second guess that. I mean, I've been around. I've dealt with stuff like this my whole life. I know what it is. Even my daughter knows. It's like the other people around that didn't, acted like, oh, really? I didn't notice. Oh, really? I didn't hear. Oh, come on.
No, if you saw it, honey, you saw it. You're an empath. Empaths catch stuff that most people just miss. You got it. If it was real. And then if they were hurtful, the hard thing is when we're empaths, we don't ever want to hurt somebody. So we don't understand when somebody would say something painful and hurt us. We don't get that.
That's right.
We don't get it.
But let me ask you, do they know that they're doing that, or is that just the way they've been conditioned to be their whole life? Because, she looks good and she gets attention, and she probably thinks she's hot shit. So you know what? I'm going to show her she's not. I'm going to ridicule her in front of everybody. Do they know that they're doing?
Not good.
Do they know, or is that just their personality, or what?
Well, do you want to know what I really think? I think it's a combination of it all. I recently met somebody that wasn't very nice and catty too, honey. I went through stuff about my hair, my makeup, my nail and the whole thing. It was ridiculous. Now I know, though, that wasn't my trash. That was her trash. I was no threat to her. I wasn't going to hurt her. That did not belong to me. So when I realized it doesn't belong to me, guess what? And her talking about my hair, that doesn't belong to those are her monkey, her zoo. However, if I responded to that, that becomes my monkey and my zoo, and I need to look at why. So I was able to get past abusive authority for the first time in years. Hello, thank that lady. I thank that lady so much.
Yeah.
She was a gift. So you had sometimes those people are a gift to us, honey. Not fun though, because we don't get it. I don't get it either. I don't get it, but that's the way to take care of yourself. Is if they are doing those things, you just gotta forgive them and be glad you don't feel like that. Oh my
Too
gosh.
bad for them to have to live like that with that. Yeah. No sisterhood there.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We're about out of time. I'm worried they might cut us off if we run a little over, but thank you for coming on, Shay. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. It'd be great to have you on again.
Oh, I would love to come back again. You are wonderful. You ladies rock. You rock.
Oh.
And thank you, Jonathan. You're awesome. You rock.
You're welcome.
So,
This was
you are
amazing.
wonderful.
Thank you so much, Shay. We'll look for you on
okay,
Facebook.
blessings.
Thank you.
Okay, blessings.
Bless you.
Bye-bye.
Blessings.
Bye.